Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, Inconveniencing an Entitled Girl. Cost ignorant landlord over $50,000. Neighbor kept tossing unbagged food into my trash can, so I moved it next to their patio/entertainment area. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Inconveniencing an entitled girl. So, a couple days ago, I was getting my nails done at a local salon. The girls there are amazing, and it's just 3 of them, so they time manage as it goes. Most people just walk in, but most people know if you do that you'll have to wait. They'll usually say come back in X amount of time and we'll be ready for you. I had an appointment and still ended up waiting a little, no big deal, they were slammed. In that time 3 people came in and their names were written down as next in line, as well as 2 girls already waiting next to me. 5 people after me. I finally sit down to get my nails done, and it's a simple manicure with no polish. One girl was doing pedicures on a couple and the other had just started a full set. As soon as I sit down, this teenage girl comes in with her parents and seats herself at a table without saying anything. Her parents then walk up to the lady who was doing my nails and say, I quote, "Her flight leaves in 5 hours and we have to leave in 1 to make it on time. Her nail just broke, fix it." Rude. So rude. Not to mention there are 5 people ahead of her. The nail lady tries to explain that, but the parents just talk over her, and the techs have a conversation about it in their language, and then the girl doing my nails nods and says, "Okay, when I'm done with her I will fix it." Cool. I proceeded to ask for a dip manicure with nail art and the deluxe spa package. The hour was up and the girl and the parents were positively fuming. They ended up leaving, her nails still broken. My nails look great and I tipped extra. Nice work, you nailed it. I bet if they just asked you with kindness to go ahead quickly, you would have said yes. I worked in a nail salon for over 10 years. People are rude AF and don't care. Some respect you, some think you're there to work for them. You kind of are there to work for them, but that doesn't mean they get to be rude XX. Pretty sure one of the TSA checks at the airlines does not involve an examination of one's fingernails. Talk about vanity. What kind of place was she going that had an airport and no nail salon? I'm pretty sure she had gotten her nails done at the salon and was trying to get them fixed there. And the techs have a conversation about it in their language. So it was dominant caste ordering the submissive caste around. Good for you OP for demonstrating that we are all humans and no one is superior to another. Extremely common in nail salons since they tend to be owned, or at least staffed, by immigrants. I love reading these revenge stories. You guys are my kind of people. Right? It's definitely my kind of petty, plus I love putting arrogant and entitled people in their place. Consequences and karma for those who deserve it is my jam, laughing face. Haha, really want to see the nails now, but well done OP. Yeah, me too. Can we do a nail tax on OP? This was such a great story and simultaneously a win-win for OP since she both got to put them in their place but also got a great set of nails. Cost ignorant landlord over $50,000. This story is from a while back when I was in college, which was situated in a rather large city, so rent was not very cheap and landlords thought they could cut corners. Unlike many of the buildings in the area, the room I rented was within a wooden house. When I toured the house, nothing stood out as unusual. The room was small but cozy, there were rather large common rooms, and the roommates seemed nice, one of whom was the landlord's daughter. Another plus was that they were okay with me berniging my cat and not putting down an obnoxious deposit. Cut to 2 weeks later, I moved into the room and everything seems fine, except my allergies begin to act up. I figured this was just due to allergy season being in full swing, despite not usually having allergies act up. 1 month in and my allergies are worse, and I start to notice small things around the house that seem to just be MacGyvered. For example, sink piping is duct tape and the bathtub had a crack, which seemed to be glued together. At 1.5 months, allergies are again worse and my cat being's acting really weird. They start running into things, acting confused, and having what looks like muscle twitching. I took her into the vet and was told that they believe she's ingested a large amount of mold. Dr. Google confirmed that this is a possibility given her symptoms and fully explains how I've been feeling. I end up asking my friend to watch my cat for a couple days while I look for the source of mold in the house. Remembering the weird handy jobs performed in the bathroom, I removed the little piece of wood that covered the area between the bathtub and ground. It was elevated on some plastic feet, only to find it covered in fuzzy black growth. I immediately replaced the wood, which had growth on the backside of it too, and checked under the sink. It looked like there was old water damage near the bottom of the cabinet, but no mold, that is, until I shone a light into a small hole cut out in the back of the cabinet. Again, the entire area that I could see in that hole was covered in black fuzz. I don't know if it was psychological, but I ended up getting watery eyes and sneezing a bunch while on the hunt for mold. I immediately showed my roommate, who then called her dad about the mold. The dad essentially said it's nothing serious and he'll get to it when he has time. Well, 1 week later and he's done nothing about it. Wanting to bring my cat back, I called to ask him for an update, and he said that he consulted with a professional who said it didn't sound like mold and that I should just keep it covered. I was pissed, but this being my first rental, I had no idea how to handle it, and for as nice as the landlord's kid was, she really didn't try to help persuade him. After some research, I found that in my area mold is a hazard that landlords are required to take care of. While this wasn't stated in my contract, it was a contractual obligation he had. I called the landlord with this information and told him that I'll be withholding my rent until he sends someone to look at the issue. He flat out laughed and said I can't do that, and that he wouldn't allow me to break my lease early. I was pissed and too nervous to bring my cat back into the house. After reviewing some more local codes, I decided that instead of withholding rent, I would report the issue to the municipality in hopes of them taking action. Within 72 hours, they sent an inspector out to not only check the areas I mentioned finding mold in, but also doing a full inspection of the home. They spent at least 2 hours walking around the interior and exterior, looking under every applicant's and into any accessible space. After the review was done, they told me that the mold damage was far more extensive than I thought. Essentially, the entire house had become infested due to moist conditions and poor ventilation. He said that this would require extensive work and that I would not be able to stay in my room during this time. But that's not all. The inspector also found over a dozen code and permit violations, each of which would have to be remedied or else a huge fine would be levied. The inspector sent a letter detailing his findings to the landlord, and I got an angry call with him screaming about how I shouldn't have gotten them involved and how he was actually planning on coming out that weekend. I was too timid to boast about this win, but I did state that, per the inspector's findings, I will be moving out, as I am legally allowed to break the lease if conditions are unlivable. He said I'm not allowed to, and I told him to take me to court in that case. I moved all my stuff out that day with some help from friends and crashed with the friend watching my cat during this ordeal. I was able to get a room in a much nicer house rather quickly, and kept in contact with one of the other roommates from the previous home. Apparently, the landlord tried to rent out my room again and didn't take the inspector's letter seriously, even the part that stated that they have, I believe it was, 1 month to take care of all code/permit violations before they would be fined daily per violation, some amounting to over $1,000 per day. Things got real for him after about 5 weeks, when he got multiple letters from the municipality detailing all of his fines, and how the rates will go up if he continues to ignore them. Last I heard, he scrambled to respond to correct all of the violations, but not before his fines amounted to $50,000 and he was forced to have all tenants move out. I noticed the house for sale a few months later. It's such a shame that there are so many bad landlords that do crap like this. They would rather affect their tenants' health than spend any money on fixing an issue like this. I salute your revenge. Well played. Glad you looked after your cat's health. I wouldn't call this revenge though. It's consequences for the unethical and crappy landlord's own behavior. Am I the only one who noticed that this guy is okay with his daughter living in a black mold infestation? IKR, it's bad enough having shitty landlords not care about their tenants' health, but his own daughter? What a crappy human. Great job. You saved yourself, your cat, and all the roommates. I'm surprised that the landlord did not even care that his own daughter was living there. Landlords don't like to treat mold. They just cover it up. When we first moved into a rental house, the landlord just pasted over some mold on the wall in the bathroom near the tub. Of course, 5 years later, it had started eating through. He tried to blame it on us when we left. I told him the photos I took when we moved in would prove otherwise. Got our whole deposit back when he realized we documented everything. That's something I don't really understand. It costs a hell of a lot more to remove mold once it's spread than it does to quickly address it when it shows up. As someone who works in public health with colleagues who do these inspections, this is highly satisfying. Glad you and your kitty got out of that death trap. What's crazy to me is that their kid was living in this place, and they were cool with her living in a biohazard zone. The worst part of this story is that the landlord could have made more money by fixing the place up and charging higher rent. Not a popular thing to say on Reddit, but it works. Tenants get a decent place to live, and the house is taken care of. I'm a landlord. Dropping some money on a plumber is an investment in the house, and an investment in keeping a good tenant. Or just charge the same rent instead of being a cancer on a society where people are already struggling to live. This is amazing. The landlord tried to ignore you thinking that you were just a dumb kid and had to pay big time in the end. Good for you for standing up for yourself. I'm glad that you and Kitty are safe and in a better, healthier environment. Every time I read a story like this, I can't help but think of my good friend and her family. They own multiple buildings and their tenants absolutely love them. Why? Here's an example. Years ago, my friend wanted to redo carpets and upgrade some appliances in one of the apartments, so the family has to move for a few days. My friend flew the family to LA and paid for a week's stay at the Disneyland Hotel. I was in awe that my friend would do this, and she said, well, they had to stay somewhere else. The parents are really good people and the kids had never been to Disneyland. Neighbor kept tossing unbagged food into my trash can, so I moved it next to their patio/entertainment area. Basically the title. My neighbor and I both keep our trash cans out front in between our houses, except we make sure our own cans are on our own property. They're like 5 feet away from each other. I'm a bit controlling. I don't throw anything away unless it's wrapped in a trash bag, to avoid my can smelling like a melting heap of shit. After some years, they've gotten a lot more comfortable with crossing small boundaries, letting their dogs run all over our property, dig under our fence, and most recently this year, throwing dog shit and open food containers into our trash cans. I noticed because it suddenly got really smelly, even though it should have been fairly empty because the trash man just picked up the previous morning. So I opened the lid, and lo and behold, there were 5 half-even pizzas in their boxes chucked in there, along with some party shit and dog shit. I knew it was my neighbor because they literally just had a party for their teenager, and I saw them in their garage eating pizza. Normally I'd just call for a trash can cleaning service, but it's expensive and my neighbor definitely did this shit on purpose. So instead, I rolled my trash can to the backyard and placed it as close to the fence as I could. Because on the other side of that fence is their patio/entertaining area that they use constantly. I've left the lid open for good measure, and last time I was out there I overheard my neighbor complaining about the smell. They were setting up shit for another party too. Oh well. LOL. Nice. Now, burn some eggs to throw in there. And then throw the whole can over the fence so it lands upside down. I'm stuck on trash can cleaning service. Does this exist? Where can I find this service? Here in Minnesota, we just pull out the pressure washer and clean it out. LOL, I thought it was fancy too when I moved down here to the lower 48. I'm in California and there are several trash can cleaning services available in my area. Not sure about other states. I had a neighbor who absolutely filled my trash can twice with unbagged nasty trash. I dumped it into a trash bag both times and placed it by their trash. The next time they did it, I literally dumped the entire can out right next to their trash bags and cans and went back to my yard to hose my can out since it had maggots in it because of their unbagged trash. They never did it again. My neighbor had a block party and one of her guests barfed in my purple trash can. There was no bag, just barf on plastic, so gross. Making sure to take a dump in the trash can for added flavor. I would buy a big bowl, place on the trash can and leave it in front of their door. Play stupid games and win stupid prizes. Personally, I would have dumped it all back into their yard. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.